Good evening. I have a tragic story to share with you. It happened on January 8th of this year, not even that long ago. It's a very sad story. I'm going to read it to you and then I'm going to give my reactions. It's pretty horrendous, so I might actually give reactions while I'm reading it. I don't know. I'll try to contain myself, though. Okay. False rape accusation leads to Alaska man's beating death. A man was beaten to death by the boyfriend of a woman who falsely claimed he raped her in a Fairbanks, Alaska motel room on Wednesday. Of course she did, because women lie. The woman, 31-year-old Dominique Vasquez, reportedly did not want to admit to her boyfriend, 39-year-old Abraham Stein, that she had cheated on him and so lied about the rape, according to the Alaska Dispatch News. She also knew that Stein had a history of violence when she lied and told him that 37-year-old Wesley Lord, who was also Stein's cousin, raped her at the extended stay hotel in Fairbanks. So here she has a boyfriend who she knows is violent. She cheated on him of her own volition, her own free will. And of her own free will, she also chose to lie, ending a man's life. According to a complaint filed in court Thursday, Stein showed up to the motel after being ditched by Vasquez, Lord, and two other men. He peeked through the motel room window and came to believe that Vasquez was cheating on him, according to the court filing. Tyrone Akpic, one of the other men present at the motel, told Stein that Lord had raped Vasquez. Akpic told authorities that Vasquez had asked him and the other man with them to lie on her behalf. So not only did the woman lie, but she used her feminine wiles in order to con two other men into lying as well. She must be a feminist. Based on that belief, Stein came into the motel room through a window and began punching and beating Lord. Lord didn't put up much of a fight because he was such a small guy, Akpic told authorities. He said that Stein beat Lord for 5 or 10 minutes after he had stopped fighting back. He was a small guy. Of course, he a dumb woman. Of course. And you want to tell me that we should always believe the accuser? Even though we always do believe the accuser. So explain that one, feminists. I would ask you feminists, any feminist, to explain anything on any of my videos with a valid point. You can't. You cannot defend the lies. The Alaska Bureau of Investigation noted that Lord had apparently sustained blunt force trauma to the head. Later, Vasquez admitted she lied about being raped by Lord, and she had consensual sex with him. According to the complaint, Vasquez knew Stein has a history of assaulting people from her personal experience. Both Stein and Vasquez face second-degree murder charges. Why not first degree? First degree for her because she plotted it. She conspired to have other men lie for her. By definition, that's organized crime. Anytime multiple entities act on behalf of the benefit of one, that is organized crime. Sounds like feminism, doesn't it? Vasquez admitted that she held her hand over Lord's mouth while he was being assaulted. That is so bad on so many levels. She knew she had lied to her boyfriend. She knew she had other men lie for her. The only reason they lied is because she has a vagina. The protected species of vagina. And she held her mouth over this smaller man's, or held her hand over this smaller man's mouth while her boyfriend beat him to death for at least 10 minutes. Feminists, answer me this. Do you still believe that we should believe the accuser after the UVA rape case, after the 4 cases in 1 week in Florida with false accusations? Do you still believe due process should be thrown out the window? Are men's lives really meaningless to you in that manner? She knew that this would happen. He had a history of violence. And not only that, she had the gall the entire time. She had her hand over that poor man's mouth while her boyfriend beat him to death for 10 minutes. She knew she lied. At any time within that 10-minute period, she could have said, I lied. She could have just gotten away and called the police. My husband's beating someone up. Probably wouldn't have taken him 10 minutes to get there, maybe save the man's life. Oh, but wait. Women, as a whole, some do, but most women as a whole do not care about men. How do we know that most women don't care about men? Which example do I use? Let's start with the University of Toronto. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here. Forgive me, I'm tired. I read this story and I had to share it. University of Toronto, anytime men get together to discuss valid issues, this hate group called feminism comes out of the woodwork. And in fact, in some of the videos at University of Toronto protests, you could see them giving Nazi salutes. Way to represent feminism. Now the problem is, I know it represents feminism. Feminists, this is a question to you. This is directed to you. Most of these are, but I've never had a feminist rebut my arguments. So, hundreds of feminists showed up. Hundreds. So therefore, the feminist movement cannot claim that it was 1 or 2 or 3 or even 20 or even 50 fanatics. That argument does not work, because the feminists showed up en masse. Explain that one to me, feminists. So full of hate for men that to save your own skin, you would throw a man to the wolves. That's feminism. Feminism, where the leaders call men walking dildos and animals. Feminism that doesn't care that colleges are 60% female. What's happening to our young men? I love women. I'm not attacking women. I'm attacking the experience in my life that I have had with feminism. I'm in college too. I experience it every day. Every day I'm told that even though no man in the Western world has any reproductive rights, that evidently there's still a war on reproductive rights and it's my fault. I'm called a rapist because I have a penis. That's the equality feminism seeks. How do I know that's the equality feminism seeks? Well, it's what they put forth. And it's not just 1, it's not just 2, so they can't claim, you feminists, you cannot claim fanaticism for it. Because it's institutionalized. Fanaticism is not institutionalized, it's an institution. Male genital mutilation. In the West, it's institutionalized, it's in a hospital. I dare you to take a young daughter to a hospital and ask them to do female genital mutilation. They wouldn't think about it. But male genital mutilation? Ah, now you're talking. Let's get those scissors out and snip, snip. Stop the hate. Stop the lies. 1 out of every 5 women will get raped. No, they won't. That stat doesn't even add up to the math. If you take the women in the United States, and you take the number of reported rape cases in the United States, they don't add up. 1 in 5 women will be raped or sexually assaulted in college campuses. There are an average of 10.5 million students that are of female gender every year, pretty steady in college. So if that were the case, that 1 out of every 5 of them are raped, you'd have 2,100,000 rapes every year. Just in college campuses. Well, the problem with that is this: there are only an average of about 100,000 rapes reported every year in the United States as a whole, entirely. The numbers don't add up. It's horrible. What is going on, people? My God. Why is it okay when a man is in college for him to be raped? Can any feminist answer me that? And when this man does get raped, why are there no resources for him? Why does nobody care? In college, when a man is raped, why is he still called the perpetrator? What sense does that make? Feminists want to call all this stuff about victim shaming. But it only applies when the supposed victim is a woman. And a lot of times it comes to find out later that the woman lied. How many times do we have to see men get out of prison, their lives ruined over a woman lying? Our men are being left behind. They're being considered trash. Why? Why are we treating our young men that way? Women want to say half the population, half the population, half the population. Here's the problem. Women are actually more than half the population. Women do more voting than men. Women have more of a voice than men. There are very few countries in which men outnumber women. Most of the countries, women outnumber men. And yet, women are still attacking men over stupid things. Things that don't make sense. All I'm asking is for you feminists to say, yeah, women lie. They lie all the time. Those rape statistics, I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if we come to find out here in a few years when someone decides to get off their ass and do a real statistic, unit for unit. Don't even call them men and women. Do a blind study, unit A, unit B. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we've come to find out that it's pretty dang equal. Feminists, you don't see things from my point of view. And I know that I don't see things from your point of view. But when is this going to end? Yes, I attack feminism. Why do I attack feminism? Because in my life experience, feminism is nothing but a hate group. This has got to end. The problem is, when does it end? When do the double standards go away? When do we stop hearing about female teachers raping male students, or even female students, and getting a slap on the wrist? When are we going to stop hearing about women murdering their husbands and getting 120 days shock time in jail? 120 days shock time for murder because she's a woman. 120 days to say, murder's bad, don't do that again, woman. Don't do that again. When does it end? Feminists, I'm asking you, when does it end? When can men walk down the street without being afraid of being beaten to death because a woman might call rape? When can a man walk into a business and be confident that he can do his job, earn what he earns, and not get blamed for getting what he got through the patriarchy? When is a man going to be able to put in 40, 50, 55, 60 hours in a week and make more than his female counterpart who only works 40 hours a week, without the female saying that she needs to get paid the same amount as the man who works 60 hours? Come on, it's Wimbledon all over again. Wimbledon, just in case you guys didn't know, Wimbledon a few years back. The female players, this is a great example. The female players were complaining that they weren't making enough money. They weren't making as much money as the men. And they weren't. So on the surface, that sounds great, doesn't it? Let's pay the women the same amount as men. But there's a problem with that. Women play less sets. The men play more sets. So therefore now in Wimbledon, when you break it down to how much they get paid per set, women get paid a lot more than men. And that is the feminist agenda, not equality. Just admit it. Stop all the fighting and crap like that. There's a reason that your movement is imploding. It's because it's based upon lies. And that was fine before the advent of the internet. But now that the advent of the internet is up, we can check all your feminist bullshit. A man beaten to death because a woman lied. Not only did she lie, she held her hand over this poor innocent man's mouth for at least 10 minutes while her boyfriend beat the hell out of him and beat him to death. The entire time she could have said something. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is feminist. That's what a feminist is. That's what feminism has fought for. For dumb men like us to believe that every single word out of a woman's mouth is God's honest truth. And women want to be the protected, strong, yet weak, smart, yet not smart enough to make their own choices about consent, evidently, because we have to have laws for that. Even though every man knows no means no. Contradiction in terms. Someone hit me up with a comment. Something. It's just... I was born in Alaska, so I know the area up there. It is highly feminized. That's because feminists go up there and they see big, strong, burly Alaska men that we can take a lot of beating. And a feminist sees that as an asset. An individual, a human being with a penis, to a feminist is nothing more than a pack animal. A white knight for them to do the woman's bidding. And if that bidding be beat a man to death while I put my hand around his mouth, then so be it. That's feminism. Feminism's got to stop. It's a hate group. I can prove it in so many ways. It's a hate group. Someone hit me up. Like, subscribe. You know the drill. Not a tragic story.